Okay. Hi, everybody. Welcome back to Anything Goes. I just woke up. Literally, I went to bed at 10 p.m. last night, and then woke up at 4 in the morning this morning and was like, okay, like, let's go. But then I went back to bed and I woke up at 7:30. But like, I'm still feeling a little bit groggy. I feel like when I go to bed too early, I wake up very groggy. Also, I feel like my voice is going, like I'm losing my voice. It sounds a little bit nasally. Who knows? No, I do not have COVID. I get tested literally once a week. Which is extremely nice, actually. It's kind of nice. I don't mind that part of my life. Okay, so before I start the episode, I want to give you guys a real little update. And, you know, part of me, my anxiety is always like, nobody fucking wants to hear how you're doing, Emma. But I also think that so many people are struggling right now, specifically. Like, I know that we've been saying this the whole time. I know that we've been saying, oh, everybody's been struggling this whole, like, throughout the entire pandemic. It has not been a secret that there's been a lot of struggling going on. But for some reason, like this past 2 weeks, I think it's just been so intense with, like, if you live in the United States, what's been going on here, and just like the craziness of the election and all of that. And also, you know, if you live anywhere else, a lot of places are going into a second lockdown. It's like shit's just getting real. I don't know when I'm going to upload this or post this, or I don't know. What's the word for podcasting? I don't know when this is going to go up because I literally record my podcasts randomly whenever something comes to mind. And sometimes I have like 10 of them banked, and sometimes I post them out of order and blah, blah, blah. So who knows? But specifically right now, I just feel like the tensions are very high. The vibes are very bad. Also, daylight savings time just came into full swing. It gets dark at fucking 4:30 p.m. Like, everybody's getting a little bit sad. I know for me, I tend to get seasonal depression, and it definitely hit me the last few weeks, or ever since daylight savings time happened. I don't know what it is. I literally do not understand what it is. I think it was a combination of things. I think that I was on the right track to like avoid getting seasonal depression this year, or even, I don't know if seasonal anxiety happens too, but I feel like they both go hand in hand. I had one really bad week. And the reason why I bring this up is to not do anything except for try to make you guys, if you guys are struggling with the same thing, not feel alone. Because I feel like I'm a Debbie Downer right now. Because it's like the season's changed. The world is in a very intense spot. And like I had a little episode of being a little bit depressed. But the thing that's so weird about my depression specifically, and I was talking about this with somebody the other day, is that it's not like, it's very high functioning to a point where I question it at times. And I'll explain, because I know that it's there, but it's like I can put on the face of being completely fine so well at this point. I couldn't always be like that, but I feel like because of being on the internet and shit, I've had to learn how to like really fake it to a point where I got so good at it that I worry that like if I were to talk about it to my friends or family, that they would be like, yeah, but you're fucking fine, dude. But it's like, no, I'm just really good at the face. But also sometimes I feel moments of relief. Like there's certain people that I can literally be around and they'll like really, really help make it feel better to a point where it's almost like healing. Like I can't explain it, but it's like there's certain people in my life where being around them, it literally makes me feel like my depression is gone for the period of time that I'm with them. And so that's also helpful, but it's like, it's always there. It's like the second I'm by myself again, it's like all back. You know what I mean? It's like the distraction's gone. Here it is, you know. But anyway, I had a really rough few weeks. I couldn't work. I couldn't film videos. I couldn't record my podcast. I couldn't get out of bed some days. I literally, y'all shut the fuck up with the whole shower thing, but because here we go. But like I couldn't shower. I couldn't like wash my face. I couldn't brush my teeth. Like I couldn't brush my hair. It was like there was a moment of that. And it didn't last long. Like I feel like I'm getting out of it now. And it only lasted about a week and a half, 2 weeks. But it was really tough. And I think it's because, I mean, here's what I think it is for me. For me, I think it was a combination of obviously seasonal issues. Just the fact that it's getting dark and cold. That is just automatically your brain just starts moving in the wrong direction, I feel like. At least for me. Also, though, I think the internet is really, really toxic right now. But it's also hard because I've been spending a lot of time looking at everything because there's not a lot to do right now. And I think that my cycle of like, I kind of got into a depressive headspace just because the internet was so toxic for a few weeks there. And I think it's just like, I hit a point at one day where I was like, I cannot, like, the internet is too much for me. Like I'm cracking, and I cracked, and it just like, I had a little mental breakdown, all of that. And then it just kind of like I think my mind just after the mental breakdown ended just from being on the internet for too long and the internet just being too toxic for me for too long. And I cracked it. Then it lasted though. So it's like after I had the like mental breakdown, that was like the cracking point, the whatever, like the kind of effects of that like trickled for around 2 weeks. And I don't think that the weather helped. I think it's a whole like fucking crock pot of just a bunch of things that kind of made me go into this depressive little episode. But something interesting happened. And it's that on the day of my mental breakdown, because the internet was just too toxic for me and I was just over it, I was at the beach. I was sitting at the beach. I had driven there in the morning just because I wanted to. I don't know. I woke up and I was like, I'm feeling really bummed out. And I've been feeling really bummed out for like weeks now. I'm going to go drive to the beach and just like relax, maybe sit on the beach, maybe go get food after, just like enjoy being outside, put my phone down for a second. And I get to the beach and I'm in my car and I fucking open up Twitter. Why? God only knows. And I start scrolling and, it was a combination of things. Every time I go on Twitter, it's either people fighting with each other or people trying to fight with me or people making like assumptions about me, people spreading rumors about me, or people assuming things about my personal life, or people attacking me for assumptions about my personal life. But it's just all this negativity, right? And I remember I opened it up and I was just seeing all of this negative shit. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to revoke my right to have a Twitter right now. Because Emma, you are abusing the fact that you can just go on your phone whenever you want. And it's so incredibly negative. And it ruins your day. And it ruins your mental health to be reading shit on Twitter constantly. I mean, listen, you can do so many things. There's so many toxic things about Twitter. It's like hard to even begin. The overall conversation happening on Twitter tends to be very negative and very like based in hatred, right? For one. But for two, I can look up my name and I can see what everybody is saying about me. There is not one other platform that is like that. Yes, you can like look up your name, I guess, on Instagram, and it like would be a hashtag. Like you could look up hashtag your name and then see, but like no, Twitter is another beast. Okay. And it's like scratching an itch, right? It's like, you know that if you look up your name, it's going to hurt your feelings. You know that. But knowing that you can do it is like an itch that you need to scratch. It's so hard not to do it. And so I found myself doing that quite frequently, which was bad for me. Because although there was a lot of nice things being said about me, of course, there's going to be a bunch of mean things about me too. And I was voluntarily going and reading it like an idiot, okay? Because I couldn't help myself because I don't know why, but it's like a fucking like, it's addicting. It's addicting. But it also makes me feel like what I'm reading is real life. And what I was reading on Twitter was not real life about me. People saying nice things, people saying mean things, none of that matters. That's not what matters in the grand scheme of things. But when you start doing shit like that, your brain starts to think that like that's the real world, is like what people are saying when you look yourself up on Twitter, because you're like, anybody can tweet about me at any time, and if I look it up and I look through what everybody's saying on Twitter in this exact moment, that's accurate, because that's, but it's not accurate. It's the internet, and it's like anybody can say whatever the fuck they want, so who cares? It's not something to put energy into. You know what I mean? Like, what's the point of me seeing a tweet that says that like my blonde hair looks like shit? What's the point of that? That does not benefit anybody. That's not constructive. It's not helpful. But like, I was getting all sucked into it, reading all this shit. It fucked up my self-esteem. It it's awful. It made me depressed because it made me feel like everybody hates me. It made me anxious because it was like, oh my God, I feel like the whole world hates me, when in reality, like literally that wasn't even the case. When I would look up my name, it would be like a few like insults, and I would be like a complete wreck. You know what I mean? And it's just, but that's not reality. And so I've been thinking this for a while, but that one day on the beach, I was like, Emma, you know what it was? It was because I was like, I was by myself. I was in nature in a sense. And I realized that there's so much more to the world and to life than to be looking up my name on Twitter and seeing what people are saying about me constantly. There's so much more to this world. Also, what does Twitter do for me? I prefer all other social media platforms over Twitter. I like Instagram because I feel like Instagram's a fun place where people share, creative stuff. Right? Like it's a little bit more creative, because it's like, okay, people are posting pictures of their outfits, of their art, of their music, of like whatever, and I think that's great. And I think that the conversation overall on Instagram is more positive. Same thing with YouTube. YouTube can be negative too, but honestly, people are really on YouTube to just like have an escape. I mean, that's what I do. They're on YouTube to like enjoy the content that creators are making, and like usually, unless somebody is under some sort of fire for something, like usually YouTube is a very positive and comforting platform, in my opinion. I find it to be very comforting since I was a child. I mean, recently I've been watching like cooking videos on fucking repeat. Joshua Weissman and Binging with or whatever. What's the guy? Babish. I know he has a series called Binging with Babish, but whatever. Like I've been watching them and just like enjoying it. It's so comforting and positive. It's just like people cooking and like that's it. And then for me, it's like I enjoy making videos. It's fun and relaxing for me. I enjoy like posting them. I enjoy reading comments on YouTube. Things are very positive there. So like, what's the point of Twitter? Because I think the thing about Twitter is that people can just kind of like tweet whatever they want, and it can be so mindless in a way, because it's not like you have to, like with YouTube or with Instagram, you have to post another piece of something with your caption or with your commentary. Like, yeah, with YouTube, you could like make a hate video, whatever, but I more mean like in general, a lot of work and thought has to go into an Instagram post or a YouTube video, like a lot more thought and effort. Whereas with Twitter, you write something up and you press tweet and it's out. There's a lot less time that goes into a tweet and a lot less thought. And I think that that's why so many people tweet things that can be hurtful, is because there's a lot less thought that goes into it. And do you know what? I've tweeted some dumb shit that I didn't realize could hurt people's feelings myself. Because it's like, I didn't have time. I wasn't being smart, and I wasn't sitting there rereading the tweet 16 times and thinking about, okay, wait, could this be taken the wrong way? Because obviously, for me personally, I never ever in my life have had an intention to hurt anyone's feelings. Ever. Period. Have I? Of course. Because accidents happen. But I think that the reason why I personally have tweeted things that have maybe been like taken the wrong way or that were like hurtful without me even realizing or knowing or meaning to do that was because it's like you don't think before you do it. It's like tweeting is so mindless. And it's harmful because, you know, whether you're tweeting something that's, let's say, a rumor or a lie, that's so harmful. You know what I mean? Or you're tweeting something that, you know, is a joke, but it's like you don't realize that joke could be harmful to others. That's harmful. Or let's say you're tweeting, you know, some shit about you, some information about you that maybe in a month you're not going to want the world to know about you. It's so mindless and so quick that like you just tweet without thinking. And I don't think that that's healthy because I think that it's just not good. It's just not good. I also think that people think that they can be meaner on Twitter because they feel like it's almost more anonymous than any other platform for some reason. So people will just go in. And this all leads back to me deactivating my Twitter. So I was on the beach that one day and I deactivated my Twitter. And it felt so good, y'all. I was like, yes. I don't know why that day I just decided that it was the day that my Twitter was going to be deactivated, but I think it was that I was in nature, I was by myself, and I just made the decision. So I deactivated it and immediately felt this like insane relief. I almost started crying because I was like, this platform has been such a root of anxiety for me for so long, and now it's gone. And it made me feel powerful in a sense because I was like, okay, Emma, something was making your life shittier and you just removed it. That's great. It was an empowering feeling randomly. I don't know why, but it was empowering. And unfortunately for me, there were assumptions made about why I deleted my Twitter and it having to do with something completely unrelated, which started an entire drama about me, which kind of nailed the last nail into the coffin as to why I deleted my Twitter, because it's like I deactivated my Twitter fully because I was just done with the platform. And it was just a coincidence that it was the day that it was. Like it happened on a very big day in America. It had nothing, y'all, it had nothing to do with that. Not one fucking thing to do with it. It was a full-on coinky dink that I was fucking on the beach having a full moment in my brain, and then it happened. Bad timing. And everybody made all these assumptions about me. But that also, with virtually no evidence, and all evidence being inaccurate. Anyway, don't even get me fucking started. But it nailed the last nail into the coffin for me. And it made me decide that I was never going to be on Twitter again. Except for Anything Goes, because it is an exception here. But it was almost like everybody was like, Emma, why would you delete your Twitter? Like, unless like you did something wrong or you're like, you know, why would you delete your Twitter unless you were guilty of something? It's like, what the fuck? I'm not guilty of anything. What am I guilty of? Fucking getting rid of my Twitter and improving my mental health. Oh, I'm such a bad person. Like, what the fuck? I could not believe it. But, and then, you know, people were spreading these rumors about me on Twitter and blowing this shit up out of proportion. And with it not being true, that's the thing that's crazy about it. It was false information. And then that for me was like, oh my God, Emma, you totally did the right thing. Like, because that's the environment on Twitter. What is Twitter? Twitter is taking something that someone did and then finding unreliable information about a person and then like creating an entire drama around it. Why would I want to be a part of that? I literally think that there's so much more to life. Okay? This is what I think is good about the internet. This is what I think is positive on the internet. Number one, sharing stuff that's creative or exciting. Number two, talking about your feelings in a way that's helpful to others. Number three, sharing literally anything as long as it's not hurting anybody else. Number four, constructive criticism. I'm not saying that because I know on Twitter a lot of people call people out for shit and stuff. Listen, I think that that's important. I've learned so much from being called out on the internet. I mean, when it's constructive. I think that's an amazing thing. As I said earlier, like on Twitter and shit, or even whatever, sometimes you do shit mindlessly and you don't realize that it could hurt somebody, or that it just maybe could have come off the wrong way, whatever it may be. It's great that when people are constructive and are like, hey, listen, this is not maybe this is not right, and here's why. I think that that's a beautiful thing. That's so awesome, because it's like teaching other people about things in this world that maybe they don't know anything about yet. And learning about those things could maybe even help said person become a better person and be more understanding of others. Because it's impossible to know everything. It's impossible to be fully educated on every single thing on this planet. And so, being on the internet myself, when somebody gives me constructive criticism or explains to me X, Y, and Z, that is a beautiful, amazing thing that I'm so grateful for. And the amount of things I've learned about this world and different communities of people that I maybe I don't know about, that's amazing. I love that. And I never ever am like offended by that. I'm never like, don't ever say I'm wrong. Like, whatever. No, I think it's beautiful that we have that on the internet. But I think that there's also such a fine line, because I think that people will go to the next extreme and be like, you fucked up. You are a bad person. Start labeling people as all of these things that are like very extreme, and be like, and you should die. You know what I mean? And that's where I'm like, okay, well, let's remember that we're all humans here, and we've definitely all fucked up before. It's about how you react. It's about how you learn from it and move forward. And that's it. So my Twitter is gone. I have never been happier. I think that it has improved my mental health on so many levels. You will never catch me looking up my name on Twitter to see what people are tweeting about me. You will never see me scroll through a Twitter feed that has nothing productive on it and then turning my phone off and having crippling anxiety. You won't see me doing this anymore. The one thing I do miss about Twitter is that there was some fun shit on there. Like, especially with you guys, like you guys tweeting me fun shit, or tweeting me like, funny memes even about me, like, or even about like in general. It was a really, really great place to connect with you guys. That's the one thing I really miss about it. But it got to a point where it was like, okay, this is really negatively affecting me. It's either this or like I have to do this. Like, I can't not do this. So listen, my point of this whole thing is, if something is ruining you, if something is really hurting you, there's no reason to not remove it from your life. Removing Twitter seemed scary to me, because I was like, wait, this is like almost a part of my job in a sense. Being present on all social media is like a part of my job. Like, I can't just delete it. Well, I can, and I did. Who's making the fucking rules? I can do whatever I want. I can literally do whatever I want, as long as I'm not harming anyone else, hurting anyone else. Me fucking deactivating my Twitter, the world will go on. You know what I mean? Like, what the fuck? Why was I thought it like mattered. It doesn't matter. And I have more fun on Instagram and YouTube. I'm just going to stick with those, and that's that. So I don't know. I really feel like it's helped my mental health. So we're just going to run with it. I'm feeling a lot less depressed. I did have like one day, 2 days ago, where I was like very depressed all day. Like, it was one of those days where I just like couldn't snap out of it. And oh my God, I haven't felt like that in a long time. It was just like so fucking awful. And for anybody else who's feeling that way right now, I can tell you that it does pass. And the reason why I know that is because today I feel so much better than I did during that really low day 2 days ago. I thought that feeling was never going to go away. I thought that I was never going to feel an ounce of happiness ever again. I can say 2 days later that I feel 50 times better. Am I still hurting a little bit? Am I still anxious? Yes, but it doesn't matter because it's like a scale. It's like it's so manageable now that I can look back at that day 2 days ago and be like, yeah, things aren't fully better, but I feel so much better than I did 2 days ago. If I would have known how I'd be feeling right now 2 days ago, it would have been such a relief, because you always think that you're going to feel like that forever. You're not going to feel like that forever. It's going to pass, and just ride it out. There's nothing you can do to make it go away in that moment sometimes. So what you have to just remember is it's going to pass and I will be fine. Period. Anyway, that was kind of all over the place. I literally don't know if anything I just said made sense, because I have no idea why, like, the way I told that story was such a fucking mess. So hopefully this episode doesn't go straight into the trash. Anywho, I'm going to answer some questions now.